All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I've got a number of people on Facebook Live also taking a look at this. My name is Ed Vasquez. I want to thank all of you folks for coming here. I work with the law firm of Corsiglia, McMahon, and Allard, based in San Jose. Materials are behind you. Judy Peterson, my colleague, has them if you need any copies of the lawsuit or the press statement. Attorney Mark Boscovich behind me is with the law firm of Corsiglia, McMahon, and Allard. He's going to start off by announcing details of the lawsuit that was filed against Nick Carter of the Backstreet Boys. He'll be followed by Shay Ruth, who will talk about being sexually assaulted by Nick Carter and the impact that it's had on her life. We'll also be hearing from Marcy Hamilton, who's an expert on the field of childhood sexual abuse and the founder, CEO of Child USA. And then we'll be available for a few questions. Shay is allowing us and everybody here to use her name in the stories. So her permission has been granted for this. Mark?
Good morning, everyone. I'm attorney Mark Boscovich, and I have the absolute pleasure of representing Shannon Ruth, who goes by the nickname Shay. This morning, we filed a civil lawsuit against Nick Carter of the Backstreet Boys. The lawsuit alleges that Carter physically assaulted and raped my client, Shay, who you will meet and hear from in a moment. But first, let me tell you what happened. Shay attended a Backstreet Boys concert in February of 2001 in Tacoma, Washington. She was 17 years old at the time. When the concert ended, Shay joined the autograph line where she met Nick Carter. He invited her to join him on the tour bus, and once they were inside the bus, he gave her a funny tasting beverage that he called VIP juice. After Shay drank the juice, Carter took her to the bus's bathroom and told her to get on her knees. Then he pulled down his pants and exposed his genitals, ordering Shay to perform sexual acts on him. I'm sorry, Shay. Shay was a virgin at the time. She had never had a sexual experience in her entire life. Under duress, she did as Carter instructed him and cried throughout the ordeal. But that didn't stop him. Next, Carter took Shay to a bed in the back of the bus. He pushed her onto the bed and proceeded to rape her, despite her pleas over and over again that he stop. But every time Shay said no and tried to get away from Carter, he'd get angry and push her back down on that bed. He was rough, to say the least. After the rape, Shay threatened to tell people what had happened. He grabbed and bruised her arm and screamed at her, calling her, and I quote, a retarded little bitch, while scornfully saying that no one would ever believe in her. He told Shay that she would go to jail if she said anything, because he's Nick Carter and he can do that. To make Shay's trauma even worse, Carter infected her with the sexually transmitted infection HPV. That is significant because during our investigation, we spoke with other women that Carter also sexually assaulted and infected with HPV. He's spreading a sexually transmitted infection that can cause vaginal warts and even cancer. These women's stories are remarkably similar. They were all virgins when they were sexually assaulted by Carter, and they were all infected with HPV. We're hoping that anyone else who has been sexually assaulted by Carter will call or email us. We want to hear your story. We also want anyone who has evidence in Shay's case to come and stand with her, because Nick Carter has a long history of abusing women, and the entertainment industry has enabled his criminal behavior by looking the other way. Shame on you for putting money and profits ahead of the safety of these women. Shame on you for victim shaming, bullying, and re-traumatizing these victims. Nick is not the first celebrity to assault and rape a woman. Once an R&B superstar, R. Kelly, was sentenced in June to 30 years in prison for using his celebrity status to sexually abuse women and children. And last month, film producer Paul Haggis was found liable in civil trial for raping publicist Haley Brees. He was required to pay her $7.5 million in damages as a result. Go look into these cases and other high-profile cases, and you'll hear the perpetrators offering the same tired excuses ad nauseum. She consented. I didn't know her. I have no idea what this is about. That's hogwash. Now let me tell you a little bit about my client, Shay. Shay grew up in a strict religious household and is on the autism spectrum. So it's particularly brave that she is here today. She also has a mild case of cerebral palsy. Now, according to disabilityjustice.org, 83% of women with disabilities will be sexually assaulted during their lifetimes, and just 3% of those assaults will be reported. It's also estimated that half of those women have been sexually assaulted more than 10 times. Being sexually assaulted takes a big toll on victims, but Shay is determined to bring Carter to justice. She fully understands that Carter's legal team and even some of his fans will harass her every opportunity they get. But she believes it's worth it to protect other women. And now I'd like to give Shay an opportunity to give her story to you. Come over here, okay? Take your time, okay?
Sorry. Hello, my name is Shay, and I'm 39 years old. And the last 21 years have been filled with pain, confusion, frustration, shame, and self-harm that are a direct result of Nick Carter raping me. Even though I'm autistic and live with cerebral palsy, I believe that nothing has affected me more or had a more lasting impact on my life than what Nick Carter did and said to me. Sorry. After he raped me, I remember him calling me a retarded bitch and grabbing me and leaving bruises on my arm. Sorry.
Okay. Nothing to be sorry about, okay?
I'd also like to say that Carter tried to scare me into silence by saying no one would believe me if I told what happened. He was nasty and threatening, saying I would go to jail if I told. He also said he'd turn people against me because he was Nick Carter and he had the power to wreck my life. After my assault, I started cutting myself to hide my pain. I felt like I had nowhere to turn. No way to express my emotions, pain, and confusion, except by hurting myself. And I truly believe that if I told anyone, I would go to jail. I'm still struggling with that, because it just kind of hangs in the back of my mind. Not only do I struggle with self-harm because of what happened to me, but I also have self-esteem issues and self-doubt. I've struggled with blaming myself because I got on the bus with Nick. And as a result, I now have major trust issues. Sorry.
It's okay. I'm sorry, okay?
My motivation for coming forward today and filing this lawsuit is to stop Nick Carter from assaulting more teens and women. I know now that I wasn't the only woman that Nick Carter did this to. I hope that by coming forward today, many other women will find the courage to also come forward and hold Nick Carter accountable. I need a minute, sorry.
Okay. Just breathe.
I want my sister survivors to understand that even though it's scary to come forward, Now is the time for us to stand together. So please, come forward and stand with me. You're not alone. Just because Nick Carter is a celebrity does not mean that he's excused from his crimes. No celebrity is above the law. Carter took away my childhood and innocence, but he cannot and will not take away my strength or my truth. I am a survivor and always will be.
Judy, can I have? So,
And this is Marcy Hamilton from Child USA,
Right.
the founder and
and a professor at the University of Pennsylvania. Shay came to me 3 years ago, and she didn't know what to do. She's so smart. Come here, Shay. Come on, baby. She's so smart. She's one of the best writers I've ever met, and she's a painter. And she came to me because she wanted a voice. And with all of her challenges and the cruelty to her, she insisted on coming forward. And one of the things we say at Child USA is that if you're not ready, don't rush in. But she again and again said, I'm ready to do this, and she has done it. Today, she is making history. Typically, victims of child sex abuse and rape don't come forward for decades. That's the kind of research that we do at Child USA. The psychological and physical manifestations and the shame and the humiliation stand between them and justice. The other barrier between them and justice are the statutes of limitations. Thank God the statute of limitations are open and are creating an opportunity for her to get justice because she deserves it, but to bring Carter to account. Nick Carter has operated as though he is immune from the law. None of these perpetrators are. Not the priests, not the celebrities, not the gymnasts. These are, in fact, the people that are changing the world for the epidemic of child sex abuse. Shay, is changing the world because she is disabled in a way that makes it hard for her to operate in this space. She is someone who suffers from autism and has her entire life. She's someone who has cerebral palsy and other health issues. For her to be the one who stands up first against this mega celebrity is a lot. And so I'd like to ask everybody to make this Shay's Day. This is about Shay. She deserves it. She's a good soul. And she's just about got it under control. So let me just close by saying this. For every survivor that's out there that's come forward already, thank you. Of every perpetrator, of everyone who has been put through this. But I want to say to Shay, you're special. And this will change the world. A woman with autism who struggled her whole life, raped by a celebrity, and guess what? Today is Shay Day. So I want to thank you for your guts. You're inspiring to all of us. And now you have a level playing ground because the law is on your side.
Open it up to a few questions. Go ahead.
And I just want to preface this that I'm not going to allow Shay to answer any questions today.
No.
It was brave enough for her to come here to sue under her real name. She's done enough. And so you can blame me, but I've instructed her. I want her to, now it's your time just to relax, okay? Let me answer the questions, okay?
Shay,
Shay, thank you for speaking out. So this is a civil lawsuit. What type of damages are you seeking, and are there plans to maybe have this turn into a criminal case if that's even a possibility?
So this is a civil lawsuit asking for monetary damages, so money damages, and there'll be two forms of those: punitive damages, so money damages to punish Mr. Carter, and then money damages to compensate her for her harm. For example, medical expenses, pain and suffering, etc. Okay.
Any other questions?
You mentioned there's a history of abuse from Nick Carter. I have not followed his career. Can you mention any other credible allegations or any recent allegations?
Yes, there's 3 allegations of other women beyond Shay that are contained in the lawsuit, who are named Doe 1, Doe 2, Doe 3, to preserve their privacy until they're ready to speak themselves. And in those situations, very similar: rape, virgin, HPV, very similar kind of modus operandum.
Any other questions? Shay, did you want to say anything to your sister survivors?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take the stand in a minute, please.
I just wanted to say that for those of my sister survivors that are watching now, either, on the live stream or later on, even though I'm doing this in my name, I'm doing this for all of us because all of our stories matter. And I know it's super hard to come forward and it's scary, but we have to stand together and we have to show Nick that we've taken our power back, that he doesn't get to have our power anymore. He's had it long enough. And so please, if you contact Mark, if you're willing to stand with me, it would mean so much. And thank you to the 3 Jane Does that have already been willing to stand with me. I appreciate you so much. But that's just all I'm asking is, please, I know that there's more of us, and I know that you're scared. I'm scared. But, you can do hard things too, and nothing's gonna change unless we make the change. And I spent so much time blaming myself and thinking that I was the problem. Me and my sister survivors and other sexual assault survivors who choose to come forward are not the problem. It's not me and my sister survivors, it's the abusers and the predators and the people in the entertainment industry that enable them and give them a platform. Please stop. Thank you.
And I'd just like to say a big thank you to our local attorneys, Christian Morris and Jamie McAnally, who have helped us file this lawsuit in Clark County. And thank you for our whole entire legal team representing Shay.